Hello everybody, Mark here. I've had many requests for my flatbread recipe. You may have seen my flatbreads in my other videos. These flatbreads, they're vegan obviously, they're incredibly healthy, they use no oil, no salt, no animal products, and they've become a staple of my diet. I like to eat them straight out of the pan from hot. I like to let them go cold and use them as sandwich bread. I also like to use them as little pizza bases. If you use them as a pizza base, I don't actually fry it in the pan, I just put it on my pizza stone, load it up with my toppings and just bake it for sort of 15-20 minutes. So I'll get on, stop waffling and get on with the actual recipe. It's a very simple recipe. The basic bread is very simple. It's 1 cup of flour. I'm using brown flour. This is the Sainsbury's flour, £1.20 for 1.5 kilos, so it's excellent value. This is wholemeal, as I said. You can use whichever flour you prefer. I always try to use brown or wholemeal whenever I can because it's just healthier. So it's 1 cup of that flour and 1/3 cup of water. I've got this handy little measurer. The whole of this is 1 cup, and then it's got lots of measurements. So it's 1/3 of a cup of water, and about 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, baking powder, whatever you call it. And that's the basic recipe. All you do is you add the water to the flour and the baking soda, give it a good stir with your spoon, make sure that the flour is all absorbed so you've got a ball of dough. Then you squash it out flat on the surface, a clean work surface rather. And then what I like to do is I squash it out quite large, and then I will actually drop the dough, the flat dough, into my pan, and then squash it out more so that the dough actually fits the entire circumference of the pan, and then you fry it. No oil, of course. So that's the basic recipe. It's so easy, so simple. Literally the dough takes about 30 seconds to mix. 1 cup of flour, 1/3 cup water, 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. But what I like to do is I like to add lots of different flavours. This one, for instance, I'm adding 1 teaspoon of onion granules, 1 teaspoon of garlic granules, and 3 teaspoons of mixed herbs. This makes it just a beautiful, beautiful tasting bread. I also like to add ground black pepper, and you can add any kind of spice. I've had cumin, I've added paprika, I've added Chinese 5-spice. So anyway, what I'm going to show you is the garlic, onion, mixed herbs. I've got the flour, baking powder, the mixed herbs, the garlic, the onion, and I've also added a teaspoon of brown sugar. So it's very, very simple. You just throw in the water and begin giving it a really, really good mix and stir. Make sure all the flour is absorbed until you get a ball of dough. So you want to mix your ingredients together, and what you'll find is you'll probably get this kind of consistency, which doesn't look much like dough. But when you get to this point, what you want to do is you get your hands in there. Obviously you want to make sure your hands are clean and sterilised, and you want to just squish with your hand as if you're kneading the dough. And what that'll do is it'll bring out some of the moisture to the outside, and that will then gather up the sort of loose flour and ingredients that are left in the bowl. So you just want to do that for maybe 30 seconds and just wipe it around the bowl like so, just to gather up that excess flour that's left. As soon as you've got all of the flour gathered out of the bowl by kneading, then all you do is form it up into a little ball and just set it aside. So we're nearly there. It's not a great deal of effort required. As I said, just need to make sure that you pick up the excess flour You can actually do it much more quickly by simply picking up the excess flour in your fingers, laying it into your dough and then kind of folding it and kneading it in, but this is how I'm doing it today. So there you go, I think that's just about ready. We take a look. Nice ball of dough, pretty clean bowl, no flour left. And there you go. So let's move on to beginning to shape the dough. So I've got my ball of dough, as you can see, and now all you have to do is just a very simple matter of squashing the dough out into your shape. So put pressure on it, turn it over. You may want to dust your work surface very lightly with flour if your dough is very sticky, but if you use 1 cup of flour and 1/3 cup of water, you'll find that it's not very sticky and you probably won't need to, but you know, go ahead if you need to. And all you do is you just use your knuckles and you start in the middle and you just press outwards so that your dough begins to take shape as a rounded flatbread. I'm not that particularly fussy about it being sort of a perfect shape, perfect size as such. So you don't really need to use any kind of, you know, stencil to make it perfectly round. You can, obviously, if you wanted to make it a perfect shape, pop a plate on the top and cut round it. But you know, I'm not that fussed. And like I said earlier, I'm just making it to a certain size and then I'm going to put it in the pan and then shape the dough actually in the pan for frying. So there you go. Just use your knuckles, or you can use the flats of your hands and just spread the dough outwards. I get it to a certain shape and that's just about ready. I hope you can see that fine. Let me move this back. It's okay, it's fine. It smells fantastic, by the way, really beautiful. So now we'll move on to putting it into the pan, and we'll shape it and we'll begin to cook. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the dough in my pan. It's just a medium-sized frying pan, and all I'm doing now is using my knuckles and the palms of my hands again just to shape the dough to fit the pan. Again, you can see it's not super sticky, so it doesn't stick. Again, if you find your dough is a little bit wet and sticky, just put some flour on the bottom as you put it in the pan and it'll be fine. So just shape the dough in the pan. I think that's probably about ready. There you go, as you can see it's covering the bottom of the pan, and now you just want to pop on the heat. Get that started up. And you just basically want to fry it in the pan, no oil, on a medium sized heat I guess, for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes on each side. And that'll be it. So it's very quick, very cheap, it's very filling, very tasty, and I'll show you in a couple of minutes when I flip the bread to cook the other side. You want to let the bread on one side get little brown marks. It's not burning, but you know, because you've used your knuckles in the smoothing out process, some of the dough will be thinner and some will be thicker, so you get these little beautiful little brown cooking marks on the dough, which actually adds to the taste. So yeah, I'll do this side for a couple of minutes and I'll show you flipping the dough and carrying on with the process. Okay, so the first side of my flatbread has been in the pan for about 2 minutes. Now just be careful, I'm doing this because I know I've done this before, so just be careful, it's very hot. And all you've got to do is pick it up, flip it over, and as you can see, those little brown bits that I was talking about are just so delicious, so delicious. And then you just want to again cook that on the, or fry it rather, for another 2 minutes and then it'll be finished. The great thing about this flatbread is it's so versatile. You can add any flavours, you can add, you can add any kind of toppings. Like I said, a pizza base, sandwich bread, straight off the pan, hot, is beautiful. If you let it cool down and you're going to use it as sandwich bread, it will go soft after a few hours. When you take it out of the pan, it's quite crispy. It will go soft after a few hours. What I like to do sometimes is if I make a flatbread and don't use it for maybe half a day or the day later, I like to toast it. If you pop it in the toaster or pop it under the grill, it'll go all super crispy again, and it'll be just delicious. So yeah, you can use it as toast, you can use it as anything. It's incredibly cheap, incredibly easy to make. It takes 4 minutes to cook. It takes, a minute to actually make the dough, so it's so simple. No salt, no oil, no skimmed milk powder, no nasty additives and preservatives you don't want, just healthy, cheap, convenient flatbread. It's wonderful and it's a big staple of my diet. So here's the finished bread, straight out of the frying pan, beautiful, nice and thin. If you wanted to, this is just a thought, I haven't actually done this yet, but you could experiment. If you wanted to make pita breads, pocket bread, you could make this flatbread a little bit thicker and not roll it out with your knuckles so thin, and then you could slit around the edges to make a pocket bread, and then stuff that with whatever you wanted, your rice, your noodles, your bean sprouts, your vegetables, whatever. So I'm going to go and enjoy this while it's piping hot with a delicious cup of masala chai tea. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, please like, please comment, all the usual stuff I say, and I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you very much for your time. Bye bye.